Good evening. At this time, I'll call this meeting to order. I would ask for a motion to approve the agenda. Thank you. Could I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Tonight, presentations of colors will be virtually performed by Clyde A. Irwin High School Warrior Battalion. These students are instructed by Chief Tony Gutierrez, CW3 of the Army, retired. We'll watch this on the screen as the color guard walks to the center of their field and are invited to join them in saying the Pledge of Allegiance together at that time. Please stand.
Color guard, attention. Carry, colors, forward, march. Mark time, march. Color guard, halt. Present, colors.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God,
indivisible,
with liberty
and justice for all.
Order, colors, left, face, forward, march.
Good evening. I'm Joe Huff, Assistant Superintendent. I want to say thank you to Chief Gutierrez and the Irwin High School JRTC for putting together the call to the colors through video tonight. That's an outstanding job. It is the very nature of the military tradition to overcome obstacles, and in this case, COVID-19. And we thank our JRTC for doing that. Likewise, thank you to Ben Rickert with our Communications Department for the video itself. Next on the agenda tonight is our Veterans Day recognition. Madam Chair, Dr. Baldwin, board members, and to our viewing public this evening, Veterans Day is a U.S. legal holiday dedicated to American veterans of all wars. And Veterans Day 2020 occurs on Wednesday, November 11th, next week. In 1918, on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, an armistice, or temporary cessation of hostilities, was declared between the Allied nations and Germany in World War I, known at that time as the Great War. Commemorated in many countries as Armistice Day the following year, November 11th became a federal holiday in the United States in 1938. In the aftermath of World War II and the Korean War, Armistice Day became known as Veterans Day. And how interesting, I wanted to note, it is that we celebrate Veterans Day this year during COVID-19 pandemic, as this virus has been compared to the Spanish flu pandemic of what year? 1918, the same year that the origins of Veterans Day began with the armistice of World War I. I thought that was very interesting to point out. Tonight, we would like to highlight this very special day coming up next week by allowing you to hear from a veteran working in our school system and a student from one of our schools. They will share with you a little something that celebrates our veterans. I've asked Sergeant Reggie Ray, a fellow veteran and dear friend of mine, who also works as one of our SROs at Weaverville Elementary and Primary. He is from the Weaverville Police Department and joins us here tonight. I've asked him if he would simply read the Soldier's Creed, that you may know the commitment of every veteran makes to the citizens of the United States. Officer Ray.
I would like to thank you for the honor of being here tonight. And my father, my grandfather were all Army, and I went in after them. The Soldier's Creed is something that, as a soldier, you're taught in basic training. You have to recite it during promotion boards from sergeant and above. And it is something that, as an Army soldier, you are made to live by. So, with that being said, the Soldier's Creed is, I am an American soldier. I am a warrior and a member of a team. I serve the people of the United States and live the Army values. I will always place a mission first. I will never accept defeat. I will never quit. I will never leave a fallen comrade. I am disciplined, physically and mentally tough, trained, and proficient in my warrior task and drills. I will always maintain my arms, my equipment, and myself. I am an expert, and I am a professional. I stand ready to deploy, engage, and destroy the enemies of the United States of America in close combat. I'm a guardian of freedom and of the American life. I am an American soldier. And as you see, I maintained that after I got out of the Army. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Officer Ray. North Carolina Senate Bill 64 reminds us, as a local educational agency, to include Veterans History Awareness in the month of November. All schools are encouraged to collaborate with veterans and veteran services organizations during Veterans History Awareness Month to designate time for appropriate commemorative activities. And board members, I have been invited to many of these, as I know you have, and I will tell you the ones that I visited, and I think you would agree with me, they do an excellent job. This is always a little bit more challenging during a COVID year, but I know our schools will make every effort to recognize and honor our veterans in some way. It is important for our students to gain a better understanding of the meaning and importance of the contributions of American veterans, especially those from North Carolina and from our area. Tonight, we have Claire Wimbish, a fifth grader from Kuntz Intermediate School, daughter of Julie and Kevin Wimbish, to share with us the importance of Veterans Day from the student perspective. Claire?
It is a privilege to share this poem with you tonight in honor of veterans. I am so thankful for all of those who have served in our country, including both of my grandfathers and my great-grandfather's service in the Air Force, Army, and Navy. My great-grandfather, Sam Whiteside, taught math at Owen High School in T.C. Robertson after he retired as Lieutenant Colonel in the Air Force. Both of my grandfathers served in the Army and Navy during the Vietnam conflict. I would like to share a poem that I think speaks to not only how students feel about our veterans, but how we all feel as Americans about our veterans. On Veterans Day, we honor all who answered to a service call. Soldiers young and soldiers old fought for freedom, brave and bold. Some have lived while others died, and all of them deserve our pride. We're proud of all the soldiers who kept thinking of red, white, and blue. They fought for us and all our rights. They fought through many days and nights. And though we may not know each name, we thank all veterans just the same. Thank you to all of our veterans. You are all very special. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire. Great job. Finally, the U.S. population is 3.25 million people. And I want to pause just for a minute. When I start thinking about the number of men and women who serve our country currently, when I give you that number, 3.25 million, I want to ask those in the room and possibly those that are online, if you happen to have folks near you at home where you're watching, hold up on one hand or two hands the number that you think that percentage is that currently serve of that 3.25 million. What do you think that percentage is? Hold up your fingers, if not just for yourself, but so the person's next to you, you can see where you're at. What do you think that number is, percent-wise? Nobody wants to hold up their fingers. Even if you just do it in your mind, what do you think that percentage is of those currently serving? What if I told you that it was less than 1%? Less than 1%, 0.95 of 3.25 million currently serve of men and women in our American population. Now, I will tell you, for those that at least have served any length of time, that percentage gets a little bit better. 8% of men and women that are currently alive that at least served at least one day of military service, that number is 8%. I get asked often what we can do to honor our veterans. The answer is always tell them thank you. When you see them at the grocery store, church, and other public events, You know who they are, whether it's just by, word of mouth and telling of stories, or if you see that hat that they wear, you know who they are. It never gets old to tell them thank you. But I also tell folks that ask me how they can recognize our veterans is to say that thanks can be given both verbally and non-verbally. Take the high school basketball game or football game that you go to. Crowds can fluctuate from 2,000 at a basketball game and about twice that at 4,000 at a football game. Consider this the next time that you're in attendance. Of the 2,000 people in the bleachers or the 4,000 people in the stands, there is always between 20 to 40 veterans. If you kind of think about those numbers and round that 8% up to 10, there's 20 to 40 veterans in those crowds watching the game with you. As the announcer asks you to stand and remove your hat to honor the nation and the flag, know that your decision to do so also honors the veterans and the sacrifices they have given to give you the rights and freedoms that you enjoy every day. So know that your choice to stand during the pledge or the national anthem is always a great way to honor veterans. Thank you, Madam Chair, for the opportunity to highlight this important day coming up next week.
Thank you, Mr. Huff.
Huff, Joe Huff, could we have you back in front of the dais for a photo? And Miss Claire, head on up. And Officer Ray, head on up. Everyone socially distanced and smiling, please.
Joe can't measure. Love me some red dress.
Thank you. Thank you, Officer.
At this point in the agenda, it's time for public comment.
Tonight we do have 10 public comment sign-ups. And our first one is ready. I would like to call our first public comment to the stand. Please approach and start by saying your name and where you're from. And you don't need to touch the mic. It'll pick you up right from there, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. You'll have exactly 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you. So ladies and gentlemen of the school board, my name is John Paul Brown. I'm the father of 2 kids at North Buncombe Elementary School. I've made an entire career of speaking to groups, but this is my very first time speaking to a government board, so I thank you very much for the opportunity to do so. You know, they always say that every parent's dream is for their kids to learn more and achieve more than the parent ever could. In fact, that was the very thing that was in Louis Armstrong's song, Wonderful World, and I feel we are in that world. 3 years ago, my family was excited to have both of my girls, they're twins, invited to participate in North Buncombe Elementary's first year of the Spanish dual immersion program. And while we were very honored to have been invited to such a program, we definitely had a number of questions. My mother, who spent her entire career as an educator and most of that career as a first grade teacher, she also had many concerns, as you would probably imagine. The 4 of us, my wife, 2 kids, we filled up the North Buncombe Elementary Library and was presented a speech from the dual immersion program about how it works. And if you could sum up the entire presentation in one sentence, it would be, we have done this in many districts. We want you to trust us how this process works. And for the most part, we have. For the vast majority of our experience, we have been amazed with how much our little girls have flourished in this program. With little instruction in English and only 2.5 years, our girls have learned to read and write in Spanish in ways that we didn't even think was possible. When COVID hit early this year, it really did disrupt every facet of life. I cannot possibly understand the difficult decisions and personal heartache as you, as educators, have had to deal with over the past 6 to 8 months. I do not envy your daily struggle. And as a child of an educator, I know you love and want to honor these children on a level that approaches my very own. I am running out of time, so I'll get to the gist of this, is that 2 days of immersion is putting our children a little further back each day. The program was meant to be immersed in the Spanish immersion program, and spending only 2 days at home and losing that immersion, they are falling back daily and daily, further than what the program intended as was presented to us at the very beginning. And so, to get to the very end, actionable comment. This evening, I do request for someone from the board today to make a motion to discuss allowing dual immersion students to attend more than 2 days face-to-face. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I would like to call our next public comment. Thank you. Please come in and say your name as well as where you're from. Let me get that mic for you. That's a little high. You'll have exactly 3 minutes.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you, everybody. My name is Heather Brown. You just met my ex-husband. We were absolutely thrilled when the North Buncombe Elementary School system asked us to have our girls, twin girls, go to the program 3 years ago. Because he lived in Germany, I knew French. We really believed in the expansion of the mind when it came to language, especially at a younger age, and that is what the program had offered us and showed us statistics and proved to us that it actually helps, even if, you know, they lose Spanish later on, but it opens their mind early enough to allow more in the first place. And I have seen that throughout our career, my career as a climate scientist at the National Centers for Environmental Information for the last 12 years. I can tell you immensely how important it is for the education. And I do not, and I repeat what John Paul said, I do not envy you guys. This is an extremely hard year, and I thank you for all your service. But please allow, I do second, or actually, let me get to the point for JP here. So I would like that somebody tonight, I urge this board that somebody second the motion to allow our small, tight-knit group of Spanish immersion children, I think there's around 12 to 15 people in our class, to have 4 days a week to ensure our children do not fall exponentially behind at this critical juncture, educational juncture. Our class is small, driven, connected, and highly motivated to be creative and safe to ensure that this program and its children turn into beautiful, as my children would say, mariposas. Okay? So I understand that you guys have a lot on your plate, but I can tell you right now, as much as we've tried to protect our children from the news, from Corona, everything, and the stress of this last year, they feel it, they understand it, and they feel the education that they received the last 2 years, 2.5 years before this started, dwindling. They try to understand their teacher, they get lost, they get farther behind, more and more. The times they actually have had to go to class has actually helped immensely. They come back renewed. They understand, and they're like, oh, I didn't know that. But then it just kind of backfires again on Monday. And then they get back down, and then they have to wait till Thursday to get their confidence back up. So please second the motion to allow something on the agenda for the next time you guys talk, or somebody at North Buncombe Elementary School to allow 4 days of in-room, in-class Spanish immersion.
Thank you.
Thank you. One moment. We'd like to call our next public comment, please. Please step up to the microphone and start with your name and where you're from, and you'll have 3 minutes. Thank you. The mic in front there, right there. Yeah, thanks.
Hi, my name is Jody Clear. I have 2 children that attend elementary school in the dual language program. I'm here tonight because I feel it's extremely urgent that our youngest children return to school full time. Buncombe County Schools has prepared and implemented safety measures. We have had 5 weeks of Plan B to test all safety measures, and for children to become familiar with wearing masks, washing hands, and all other safety measures. As of October 5th, school systems are allowed to choose Plan A for K-5 students. Most of the surrounding counties switched to Plan A on October 5th. This includes Transylvania, Yancey, Madison, Macon, McDowell, Haywood counties, and also Henderson counties are full-time for K-2. Many private schools opened in August full-time in person. I know there are a lot of hurdles to overcome, but it's doable. It's unfair to place such a burden on schools, students, parents, and teachers. We've been remote since March 16th, over 7.5 months, and these kids need to be in person now. Businesses and workers have been back at their jobs for months and months. People can go to restaurants, bars, and even to the movies. Schools are the last business to open. I know that the board has worked hard and not made any of these decisions lightly. However, life needs to eventually go on, and K-5 are the lowest risk group of spreading COVID. I am not ready to give up on my kids' education and well-being for what-ifs. We can't just spend 1 or 2 years doing remote learning and expect there not to be huge, life-changing negative impacts. The intellectual, emotional, and social toll of remote learning does not outweigh the minimal risk of K-5 moving to Plan A. Please allow this transition to Plan A to happen as soon as possible. If Plan A can't happen for all K-5, please consider Plan A return for dual language and other at-risk groups. I really appreciate your time. This is so important. Thank you.
Thank you. Are you next, sir? Yes, thank you. Yes, we'll get this up for you then.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please start with your name and where you're from, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Adam Herzog, and I'm from Asheville. I live in South Asheville. I'm a registered nurse and a paramedic. I work at Mission Hospital, and I teach paramedic students for Western. I have 2 kids, a 5 and a 10-year-old, and I'm here to beg you to put them back in school, please. I have a friend, he's a teacher in Knoxville, and he teaches at a large high school. They've been open full on since school started in the summer. He's got 32 kids in his class. They do take precautions, and as a nurse and a paramedic, I definitely appreciate the seriousness of COVID. You know, I'm not a COVID denier, but I think what we're doing is worse. So in Knoxville, they do mask wearing, they do the best they can to keep the kids apart, but they are going full time. If they have a student who gets ill, they test them. If they test positive, which they've had about 15 cases, they quarantine those kids, and then they contact trace, and they quarantine the contacts. So they've had to do that for about 200 out of 2,000 kids. So those kids are getting an education. My 5th grader is spending 6 hours a day on a computer, which I've spent my entire parenthood trying to avoid. You know, I've been trying to keep my kids off computers. That's been pretty much my goal as a parent. My 5th grader, when I left to come here tonight, he was doing his homework on YouTube. You know, my 5th grader, his AIG stuff is on Minecraft, which is a video game. So there's 3-4 things here. Academics. Our kids are going to get left behind. They're going to be competing with, you know, cohorts of students that are getting an education right now while they're falling behind. Number 2, social isolation and mental health. My kids have no friends, none. And it's just devastating for them to be at the developmental ages that they are at and not have friends and not have those experiences that we all got to have. Bad habits. So my kindergartners learn nothing. He knows nothing academic, but he has developed a lot of bad habits. Spending time on an iPad, YouTube, all this other garbage that I just really don't want my kids on. And then number 4, and this doesn't apply to me as much, I have my life together. You know, I was able to get here tonight. We've got 2 parents that work and we have a good home. A lot of kids don't have that. You know, I see it in my work all the time. And those kids, school is the safety net. It's the last thing that they have to keep them safe, and that's gone.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. We'll call our next public comment, please, to enter. Thank you. Please step up to the microphone, say your name and where you're from, and we'll have 3 minutes on the clock. Great. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I'm Keith Howell. I'm from Weaverville, North Carolina. I'm also the business leader at Thermo Fisher Scientific in Weaverville. Also a parent of 3 children, North Buncombe School District at North Windy Ridge and Weaverville Elementary. First, I guess wanted to say thank you for everyone for your service. I know you guys are devoting a lot of time, and this is probably one of the most stressful times that we're all navigating together. So thank you for everything that you're doing for us so far. A couple of points that I wanted to just touch on was, you know, as leaders of local business here, we have 750 employees at our factory, Thermo Fisher Scientific in Weaverville. I've seen firsthand the impact of the in-person or the lack of in-person schooling with the workforce on a daily basis. From a nutrition standpoint, we've seen about 6% of our workforce who's just had to stop working to go home and care for children and provide and do the in-person schooling. And what I'm also seeing too is that our lowest wage workers are the hardest impacted because they're not able to have supplemental child care and things of those nature. What I also see too is that, you know, as a parent, you know, I've seen, you know, personally my children struggle. I have a 6th grader, a 4th grader, and a 3rd grader, and they're struggling. You know, they're struggling academically, and more importantly, I think they're struggling emotionally as well too. So I have seen, you know, other counties, other states, and I have concern in that our kids locally here are falling behind, and as our kids progress to the next grade and, you know, future and taking SATs, they're going to be up against children who have, you know, gone to in-person schooling and that are, you know, they're falling behind the curve, and that's, you know, why I'm here tonight is to just express the concern and hopefully advocate to, you know, open schools back up for a 5-day in-person schooling. So, thank you for your time and the opportunity to speak in front of you guys tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yep. I'd like to call our next public comment. Please come on in. There's a microphone. Please step up to it and start with your name and where you're from, and you'll have 3 minutes on the clock, sir.
All right. My name is Josh Wright. I live in South Asheville, originally from Florida, so don't hate me too much, but I did move here because of the mountains. I love it. I am a forensic ballistics expert, and so I testify in legal matters in the southeastern United States. I'm here today as a concerned parent. I have a kindergartner, 2nd grader, and a 4th grader. And my concern is that they're falling way behind just like other parents. My kindergartner needs full-time, one-on-one parental help while he's at home doing his Zoom meetings and doing his activities. So my mornings are gone Monday through Wednesday. They're in the B session, so they go Thursday and Friday. But even then, it's like a half a day. Wednesdays are basically a throwaway day. It's a makeup day for most kids. My wife and I are pretty good at staying on top of our kids, so their activities are done. So when Wednesday rolls around, I get a little more work done, but they're not getting any schooling. And so I estimate they're getting half the amount of schooling they were last year. It really concerns me. They're falling behind big time. And it's not even the educational aspect as far as reading, writing, math. It's the social aspect. These kids are struggling socially. This is just as important going forward in life, knowing how to communicate with others, knowing how to share, knowing how to fit in. All these things are super important, and these all occur. And we don't ever talk about it, but this is what happens at school. This is the other education that schools get when they're on the playgrounds, when they're playing a game together, organizing. The teachers aren't there to help them with this. This is what they're figuring out on their own, which is great, because that's independence, right? They're choosing to learn these things. They're not doing that now. They're getting very little of that. The other thing I want to talk about is freedom. When this all started, we had the freedom of choice. We could choose to send our kids, keep them home, and do Zoom and do remote learning, or we could have sent our kids to school. Well, Buncombe County took that freedom of choice away from us. We don't have that choice anymore. The parents had that right taken away from them, and it is a right, so we pay for that. We'd like to have that freedom back to choose. I understand that COVID is serious. However, the most protected group of people from COVID are children, the parents of children, and the people who teach children. Another thing that I want to talk about is inequality.
Sorry, sir, that's 3 minutes. Thank you. Yes. Thank you.
Teachers are allowed to bring their kids to school 4 days.
Sir.
Thank you, sir.
But we do invite you to email the board, please, sir. Okay, we'd like to call our next public comment. Let me get the mic for you. Please start with your name and where you're from, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is Faith Bowley. I'm a senior at Nesbitt Discovery Academy. Students are expected to still be running at 100%, even though every day we are forced to watch the world crumble around us. As a senior, I have to worry about my grades, my college essays, and my college applications. But being a senior this year is so much different. I also have to worry about my family members dying. I have to worry about my human rights being taken away. My mental health is deteriorating, and despite all of this, the school, my parents, and my teachers expect me to be the same straight A student I was for the rest of my high school career. How can Buncombe County prepare students for their tomorrow if they mindlessly push through assignments just to turn them in? How will they be prepared for their tomorrow if they're depressed and anxious? How are they prepared for their tomorrow by being stretched this thin? Buncombe County needs to take better care of its students. This is how you can do it. Attendance should not be penalized. At the end of the semester, each student's 75% best classwork is going to be put in the gradebook. At the end of the semester, teachers can add 1 to 10 points to the student's grade based on the effort they put in over the semester, just like March. Assignments will not be counted late until the Sunday of the week it is assigned. To account for this, teachers can have extensions for grading and putting in grades. Students need to have the option to report their grades as pass-fail, fail being less than a 60 on the 100-point scale. We know that not all of this is up to Buncombe County, but it's your duty to advocate for the students to the state. And for all the parents worried about their kids' mental health, you can find the Buncombe County Students Coalition's academic and mental health support on our website, bit.ly/BCSC website, and on our Instagram at BC Student Coalition.
Could I get your name again, please?
Faith Valley.
Thank you.
Thank you. I would call our next public comment, please. Please enter the microphone. Start with your name and where you're from, and you'll have 3 minutes.
All right, sounds good. So I'm Spencer. I'm here with the Buncombe County Student Coalition. I'm from Nesbitt. I graduated last year, though. So last year, when school was temporarily closed for coronavirus, at first I was enthused at the 2-week break I was being given, but as time wore on and it became more apparent that we wouldn't be coming back, I became more concerned for how I was going to keep up with my classes. So I'd had my experiences with online classes, and let's leave it at that. It's not that I wouldn't be capable of learning at home, it was more just that the system that I had built up for learning at school had just been undone. Thankfully, the board was kind enough to give us all a pass as a sign of solidarity. Since then, I've begun online college, and I've realized that it wasn't exactly what high school did for me that prepared me for college, but it was what I did in high school. What I did on projects to make them just that much better than I knew I had to, or the extra paragraph I would put on an essay just to show that I was trying. These are the things that prepared me for College, the classes I'm taking now, and high school was the springboard to the success. My point with this is that high school isn't supposed to push students beyond their limits. High school is supposed to be a platform for students to pass their limits themselves. If a student wants to study every day and worry about their grades to become the best, they will do that. But there are students who will find their success elsewhere, because as we all know, not everybody is cast from the same mold. And it shouldn't be expected that everybody achieves the same in such a difficult environment as we have now. That's why I believe all the policies laid out should be adopted. Attendance shouldn't be penalized. The lowest 25% of classwork should be overlooked. Assignments shouldn't be counted until Sunday, the week it was assigned, and teachers should be given equal considerations to make sure this is able to be done. Teachers should be able to add 1 to 10 points to a student's grade to give them a boost based on their effort, and students should have the option to vouch for pass-fail grading. Buncombe County Schools' motto is preparing students for their tomorrow, and at a time where we don't exactly know what tomorrow is, I believe a policy of leniency and acceptance is the best way to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I would call our next public comment. Please step up to the microphone and start with your name and where you're from, and you'll have 3 minutes on the clock.
Hello, my name is Aria Williams. I'm here on behalf of the BC Student Coalition. In the country, state, and our community, we are at the peak of the pandemic, and we must start acting as such. North Carolina has the 9th highest cumulative COVID-19 cases for children. Over the past month, Buncombe County's coronavirus cases have increased by over 1,200, and there have been 20 additional deaths. We are all immensely concerned for the well-being of our students, yet it seems no one is interested in providing solutions that address the roots of our problems. Motivation, mental health struggles, and grades are some of the biggest challenges facing our students. And while the board does not have control over many of the contributing factors, you do have the power to provide relief. Here are feasible, those policies already stated are all feasible solutions that can immediately provide relief for our students. 432 students and their supporters have signed a petition for these proposals. If you do not have the authority yourselves to implement them, then you have the duty to advocate for them at the state level with the superintendent. Failing to do so will deprive students of the academic supports that we desperately need. Until there is action to provide legitimate assistance to students in this crisis, all of your talk of immense concern for us is empty and meaningless. As board members, it is your job to ensure that we are provided quality education, and in this moment, a quality education means one with flexibility in grading, attendance, and late work. Stringency and the push to return to a normalcy that frankly does not exist anymore is foolish and will harm students in both the long and short run. As a student, I would like parents, educators, and board members to understand what living through this time is like. The work feels endless, my mental health is deteriorating, and the motivation I once had as a former all-A student is long gone. The physical location of my education is not the root of these problems. We are all in a pandemic and a depression, and this is a moment of immense trauma. Until we get past these crises, we need solutions that deliver support for our students. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Chair, that is our final public comment of this evening.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is our superintendent comments. We'll recognize Dr. Baldwin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to begin by recognizing today's official launch of a data dashboard that will reflect for each of our schools the number of combined staff and student active cases of COVID positives. The dashboard was developed through a partnership between Buncombe County Schools, Asheville City Schools, MAHEC, and the Buncombe County Department of Health and Human Services. As the traditional cold and flu season merges with the community spread of COVID-19, we clearly expect increased absences within our schools. We believe this dashboard will help erase fears and control rumors throughout the schools and the winter months ahead. Likewise, the effort balances a need to inform our community with maintaining confidentiality and respecting student and staff privacy. I would also note that in conjunction to the dashboard, our school administrators will begin sending messages to parents via phone calls when they are made aware of a confirmed positive case for either a staff member or student that is receiving in-person instruction on campus. It is certainly our desire that we see as few a number of active cases as possible on this school dashboard. In order to ensure that that happens, we need the assistance of our school communities. That's both internal and external. Recognizing and complying with the ever-important 3 W's is such a key. Wearing face coverings, maintaining the 6 foot of spacing, and frequent hand washing. A recent study that was reported by the CDC on reducing COVID-19 susceptibility noted that by social distancing in public, one reduces their chances of getting COVID by 85%. Likewise, constant wearing of a mask reduced it by 77%. Frequent hand washing alone represented a 67% reduction of risk. We need everyone's commitment to observe these precautions, especially as we enter the holiday seasons ahead. Over the next couple of weeks, our schools and district communications team will be sending out information regarding a new parent-guardian attestation protocol that we will be transitioning to on November 30th. An attestation form sanctioned by the Department of Health and Human Services at the state level will allow students to ride their designated school bus during morning pickup. This new process will require parents to screen their child at home in place of receiving the temperature check from a bus assistant prior to boarding. Now, it is very important, however, to note that the screening at home does not waive students from wearing face coverings on the bus or having their temperature checked before they enter the school building. That's very important. Similar to the challenges we face in ensuring drivers on each bus, making sure that these assistants are available is also significant. As the traditional flu and virus season remains around the corner, these challenges become even greater. We believe this process will serve to reduce staffing concerns while still maintaining safety requirements. Your help is appreciated. And again, more information to come soon. In closing, I would also ask our parents and staff to expect information in the near future regarding new winter protocols for communicating changes in our daily operations due to snow or inclement weather. For example, when school is closed for students, the school district will decide whether the day will be an optional teacher work day, remote day, or an annual leave day. If an annual leave day is called, staff will not report for work and students will not be expected to participate in remote learning. In the event of an optional teacher work day / remote learning day, students will be expected to participate in asynchronous remote learning activities. Teachers may choose to take leave or report to the building. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Baldwin.
For Ms. Donna Pate. So if Ms. Pate could stand in front of the dais, and Ms. Franklin, if you could head to the podium, that'd be great. You can direct her where she needs to go. You go present that to her. You're good. You're good.
Uh-huh. Recognizing Mrs. Pate because this is her last board meeting. She decided that she would like a little freedom and decided not to run again. It's been a pleasure to work with Donna Pate. She has a good head on her shoulders and an understanding of public school and public school students. We appreciate that, and I particularly appreciate the privilege of working with you, and for the good of all. Sure. Would you like to come speak? Of course. My life's in danger. I just want to tell you that we've given Donna a clock, and so since she is retiring from this work and she does not need to know what time it is, we have ceremoniously given her a clock so she can pretend like she's paying attention to the time.
Oh, Mrs. Franklin knows I do not like being the center of attention. But I want to just take a minute to thank all of you for the honor and the privilege I have enjoyed serving you in this capacity. And I can tell you, last year I told Dr. Baldwin, being on this side of the education system is so totally different from being on that side. Because we, as an educator, a counselor, a teacher, I had no idea what goes on at central office. I had no idea all of the facets that make this system operate so beautifully and seamlessly. So this has been a true learning experience for me. But one of the greatest privileges I have enjoyed is getting to go into the schools to meet with all of the staff members, the students, and I have developed so many close relationships with people throughout this school system. All of you rock, and I mean that sincerely. I have seen some of the most phenomenal things happening in our schools, and I just can't thank you enough for embracing me and bringing me into your fold. And I want to tell you, I have the deepest, utmost respect for each and every one of you. So thank you so much for this privilege.
And now we have a special video for Ms. Pate.
Good evening, Dr. Baldwin, Madam Chair, and members of the board. I would like to take this opportunity to share how proud I am of my sister, Donna Pate, for all of the support she has provided for the students, staff, and families of Buncombe County Schools. She has not only made decisions in the best interest of her at-large district schools, but for the entire school system for the past 4 years. She has asked hard questions and has been a voice for those unable to speak up for themselves. Ms. Pate is a woman of strength, integrity, and perseverance, all attributes admired by not only me, but others throughout the school system. I have always admired her for her dedication and have been thankful for her support throughout the years. It has been a blessing to get to work with her in this capacity, and I am so grateful for this opportunity. Ms. Pate, I am going to miss you, as are others throughout the system. I love you and am proud of you, sis, and wish you all the best in your next venture, whatever it may be. Thank you.
See, she can't even escape her own sister. If you'll come across in the front, I think we're going to take some pictures. And make sure you carry it like a beauty queen, you know. There you go.
Great. Thank you.
Watch us on TV next month. I don't know. Maybe.
Not.
Uh-huh. We'll now move to the action part of the agenda. The first item on the agenda.
You have a report, I think.
Oh, I'm sorry. I left Ms. Swanger out. Sorry.
Get rid of me that easily.
No.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Dr. Baldwin, board members. Since COVID began last March, our schools, along with the curriculum department, have been immersed in logistics and academic planning. While navigating through these challenging times, it's more important than ever that we focus on continuous improvement. Every 2 years, we bring school improvement plans to you for your approval. These plans are critical as we must continue to focus on student growth and student proficiency. I'm pleased to tell you that all schools are now using a digital platform called NC Star. This web-based tool guides a team of school members in charting its improvements and managing their continuous improvement. It brings stakeholders to the process by allowing a view-only capability and real-time transparency to all staff, to district personnel, school board members, and parents and community members. You have seen this platform before because a few of our state-labeled schools have used this platform for a period of time. But we're very excited that all schools will be using this platform called NC Star. Schools like the tool because it occurs in real time, as I said before, and it allows them to take and keep all of their information in one location. You will be asked to approve school improvement plans on December 3rd, your next meeting. Currently, curriculum and instruction staff are reviewing these plans and providing feedback to principals. I've included directions this evening in your packet for how to access these plans after November 16th. I will also mail you a hard copy of a comprehensive report for you. I invite you to review these and look on the websites of each school and you'll find their NC Star plans. Our schools are working on indicators, which is similar to a goal. They're creating actions to support those indicators. You will see a list of their school improvement team members, their meeting agendas, and minutes, along with timelines. It's a very robust site. But it's important to know that continuous improvement to the schools and to the district all leads to accreditation. Although accreditation is not mandated or required, we believe in its value for continuous improvement. In 2012, the North Carolina General Assembly empowered the State Board of Education to accredit North Carolina high schools by adopting a rigorous process, and we have the opportunity to participate. This process is aligned to the same national process that we used to purchase for many years. You may remember the name SACS or the Southern Association. It was SACS-CASI. It was known as Advanced Ed, and I think now the current name of the company is Cognia. We agree that accreditation is very and most impactful for our high schools because of post-secondary planning. So we are having our high schools participate in the North Carolina accreditation process starting in the spring of 2021. Many of our neighboring school districts are doing the same, and some have already done that process and feel very good about the feedback, the review of data, and the work. The model is based on a data collection and a review, and schools will review 3 years of their data. They will analyze their data, much like they're doing with their school improvement plan. They will conduct an internal assessment, and then the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction staff reviews that plan and decides whether they take that school forward to be accredited by the State Board of Education. Using the DPI model will result in significant cost savings for our district. We will learn and we will replicate an internal process to accredit our elementary, intermediate, and middle schools, because currently the state is just working with high schools. Most importantly, this should create a strong alignment between an NC STAR school improvement plan, the district plans, and moving toward continuous improvement. I will keep you informed as this process goes along. If you need assistance in accessing your school plans, please call me, Jennifer Reed, Steve Airwood. We will be glad to assist you and provide any relevant data that you would like to see. So look forward to getting these plans, and then you will be asked to approve them in December. Any questions that I can answer?
It's now time for the action part of the agenda. The first item is the 2020-2021 Budget Amendment Number 1. Are there any questions from the board? I would entertain a motion to approve. Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next item, award of sole source for door access control and conversion. Are there questions from Mr. Pace in this regard? I believe this is part of our safety plan, isn't it? Hearing no questions, I would entertain a motion to approve. Get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next item, the renewal of E-rate related contract for wide area network service. This is Mr. Pace. Any questions from the board?
And I believe there may be just a typo. It should be services through 2022 instead of 2021. So with that notation, we can take action.
With that notation in mind, I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Thank you. That was a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The next item is Clyde A. Irwin Middle School, use of capital outlay athletic allotment. Are there questions from the board? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Thank you. A second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Reynolds, next item. Reynolds High School, use of capital outlay allotment, athletic allotment. Any questions for this item? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Thank you. A second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next item, Hawk Creek Elementary School water line easement. Questions on this item? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Could I get a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The next item on the agenda is the Inca Candler Fire and Rescue Waterline Easement and Transfer. Any questions on this item? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Thank you. A second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? The last item in the action section of the agenda is Hawk Creek Elementary School Additions and Renovation Project Design Contract Amendment. Questions on this item? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Thank you. A second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Agenda, it's the minutes of September 30, 2020, and special called work session. The minutes for October 1, 2020, regular meeting. Personnel report. Inca Intermediate School DOT right-of-way and easement ratification. Advisory Council members for 2020 and 2021. Advisory Council request and replace a member. Records retention and disposal requests. Could I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Thank you. And that was a second from Ms. Pate. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? In the information agenda, we have the financial reports, and the policies for first reading are as follows. Policy 1320, 3560, Title I Parent Family Engagement. Policy 2120, Code of Ethics for School Board Members. Policy 2121, Board Member Conflict of Interest. Policy 2400, Board Policies. Policy 3460, Graduation Requirements. Policy 4202, 5029, and 7272, Service Animals. Policy 4318 is use of wireless communication devices. Policy 6550, vandalism. Policy 7250 and 5026, smoking and tobacco products. And Policy 8341, limited claim settlement. The announcements for future meetings. Our next meeting will be held November 5th. No, that's not right.
December 5th.
Our next meeting will be held December 3rd with work sessions and updates and closed sessions beginning at 4, and the open session will begin at 5:30. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved. Thank you. That's great. That's great, Donna. Could I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, Donna.